Hello and welcome. Today we continue with our topic, and this topic is the aspects of European awakening. And on this one, we are looking at the Renaissance. So we'll be looking at the Renaissance. So as we proceed with the Form 2 work, let's be together and explore more about this topic, the Renaissance. So as we proceed, or before we proceed, let us look at the map of Italy, because we talk much of Italy. So before we start mentioning of Italy and everything else, let us look at or explore the map of Italy. Now you know, you know where Italy is. This is the Mediterranean Sea, as you can see it here. And here there is the sea, the Tyrrhenian Sea, which is here, and the kingdom of the two Sicilies, the kingdom of the two Sicilies. So Italy is this one, as you know. Italy is this between here we have the Mediterranean Sea, Tyrrhenian Sea, and the Adriatic Sea. So in between here, that's where you find Italy. But you have here Naples as a place, and the Republic of Siena, which is here, and the Papal States, you have it here, Florence, and you have Republic of Genoa, and many other places. So in short, we have Italy, which is here. So we are going to mention of Italy and its many places that are all located all here. So the Renaissance, from its French root, it is formed from the French root. So the word itself, Renaissance, it means rebirth. So when we talk of Renaissance, it means a rebirth. So classically, Renaissance was a term that can be defined as a period of revival, or a period of rebirth or revival of learning that started in Europe, more especially in Italy. So that's why we have started by looking at Italy, because we are going to explore more about Italy. And here we are saying that it started in Italy. So the name, it is the name given to developments in Europe from about 1350, from 1350 the year up to around 1600. So that was the years, or those were the years of the rebirth of learning, or Renaissance. So during those years, educated people, they came to believe that they were bringing about the rebirth of civilization. That is to say that they believed that now the lost civilization of the ancient is being brought back. So the leaders of the Renaissance, they wanted to recreate the culture of the ancient Greeks and the Romans, which had been lost following the fall of the Western Roman Empire. So the Renaissance itself, it followed the period of the Dark Ages. So there was the period of the Dark Ages. We mentioned a little about the Dark Ages during the Christianity. There we talked something of the Dark Ages. So after the Dark Ages, then there was the Renaissance. So the Renaissance started in the 14th century, just as we have already mentioned that it started in around about 1350 up to around 1600. So let's look at the reasons. What were the reasons why the Renaissance began in Italy? So here you need to pay more attention on this one. So why Italy? Number one was that Italy had rich princes from Venice, from Milan, from Genoa, and Florence. So if you go back to the map, check these territories: Venice, Milan, Genoa, as well as Florence. So these rich princes, they were able to hire and pay the artists and sculptors. So those rich people, rich princes, they were able to hire people to do some work which they wanted. For example, the Prince of Florence, who was called Lorenzo de Medici, he donated a lot of wealth to the learning sector, and he collected many books, pictures, and as well he built the fine gallery. Or the gallery is a display room where you have the pictures everywhere. So that one is a gallery, and also the library. So he had all those things. So he also employed the sculptors to carve the beautiful statues of different things. So he employed a teacher to teach his children the Greek language. So you can see to it there, just financing different things, because he was rich and he was able to invest much in education. So such actions encouraged the rebirth of learning. So you can just see to it that when one person started it, it meant that even other people who were able, those people who were rich, they could also do the same. So that's why we are saying that the rich people, the rich princes in Italy, in city-states like Venice, Milan, Genoa, and as well as Florence, they were able to finance some educational activities. Hence, many people, they unearthed or rediscovered the lost things or precious knowledge that was relevant to them. Number two, or the other reason why the Renaissance started in Italy, was the fall of the Eastern Roman Empire. So the Greek scholars who initiated the Renaissance in Italy had run away from Constantinople, that is the Eastern Roman Empire. Remember, the Roman Empire was divided at some point in time. So when it was divided, there was the East and the West. So when the Eastern Roman Empire came to an end, we are saying that the Greek scholars, they ran away from Constantinople, the capital city of the Eastern Roman Empire, after it was invaded by the Ottoman Turks, or Turkey, or Turkey. Turkey invaded the Eastern Roman Empire in 1453. Hence, all the scholars, they ran away from that Eastern Empire. And then these scholars, they carried with them the Greek knowledge and many valuable manuscripts. So what happened was that when they ran away from the other side of the Roman Empire, then all of them, they went into the eastern side, or the western Roman Empire. So as a result, it flourished. The ideas, or the Greek ideas, flourished again in Italy. Also, Italians were inspired by the ancient Greek and Roman heritage. So Italians, they gave much respect to the Greek knowledge as well as the Roman knowledge. So Italy had the remains of the ancient Roman Empire, such as the ruined temples, the ruins of the temples and the statues, and also the old manuscripts, the written things, the old manuscripts. And they're able to inspire the Renaissance. So with all those things present, they were able to support the rebirth of learning. So that's what we are saying here, that the Italians were more inspired by the heritage of the Greek and the Romans. Also, another factor why Renaissance started in Italy was the central Italy's central position. Italy lay at a central position on the Mediterranean Sea, which allowed her to establish close trade links with the East, with the Near East. Hence, it became a center of scholars, ideas, and traders. So we are saying that this one, Italy, it was the central position whereby it was able to be linked with the Near East. That is, we talk of Asia Minor as well as Europe. So it was like the central position where business was flourishing. As a result, they were able to mix up ideas quickly and advance them. So, talking about the location of Italy is that this location, it had both commercial and cultural advantages. So, number one was that trade with the Near East and the West made the Italian states rich, and this produced worldly urban people who were able, who were more interested in financing the cultural life. So, in short, uh, Italy was a rich point because it was a rich commercial center. People from the east and the west, they were meeting there for trade. As a result, they were rich. They were able to finance different cultural life. And also, Italy was influenced by the Islamic and the Byzantine civilization. So the cities that became the centers of the Renaissance, they were called the city-states. So they were inspired by the Islamic and the Byzantine civilization, the way they were preserving their culture. So they wanted also to preserve maybe the Greek culture and the Roman culture and advance them further. So the city-states, or we are talking of the cities that became centers of the Renaissance, where learning was taking place. They were called the city-states because they had much power but did not rule larger territories. So they were city-states with much power but limited authority. And the notable city-states during the Renaissance were the ones like Genoa, Venice, Florence, Milan, Pisa, as well as Rome. So these ones, they were the leading city-states in the Renaissance. So Renaissance city-states were not united. They were not doing their things under maybe one authority. They were not united. They were doing it independently. They were divided by the civil wars and rivalries between the families. So it was not like they were doing those things in a friendly way. It was somehow like a competition. They were competing to say, all right, they do that, we're also going to do this, like that. So there was nothing like doing the common things together. Another factor for the reason or why Italy led the Renaissance was peace in Italy. So as the Eastern Roman Empire was torn apart by the wars, just as we have mentioned that the Turks, they defeated the Eastern Roman Empire. Thence there was a peace in Italy as compared to other parts of Europe. So uh, the area in Italy, it was more peaceful than other areas. So peace made other civilizations to be established in Italy. So peace resulted to people advancing the culture, different cultures. And also weakening of feudalism. Weakening of feudalism also resulted or contributed to Italy to lead the Renaissance or to start the Renaissance. So in Italy, feudalism was not strong as compared to other parts of Europe due to the growth of city-states or the cities. So in Italy, feudalism was not at the highest extent as compared to other European parts like Britain, France, and many other parts. So this made the merchants to begin playing an important role in politics and culture of the city-states since they could not gain power by birth. So feudalism, it was the system whereby people were owning land and they were employing other people as tenants. And those who were landlords, they were landlords even their sons. So it was by birth they were landlords. others who were the tenants, therefore by birth, they were also the tenants. So there was peace in Europe whereby everyone was free to do whatever he wanted without regarding the other one as a tenant or the other one as a landlord. So we explain about feudalism here that it was a system in Europe where some people, they held land, they had land and they were called the landlords. Those people who had land, they were called the landlords. And they offered land to others who were called the tenants. So in return for the services. So they were giving land to the tenants. Those tenants were cultivating there and getting a bigger part of their harvest back to the landlord. So with this system, one's wealth was based on birth, military ability, as well as permanent hierarchy. So it was like, just as we have already mentioned, to say if you are born a tenant, you'll be a tenant forever because you are living in somebody's land. If you are the landlord, you are going to be the landlord forever because you have or you own land. So Renaissance produced a philosophy called humanism. So when you talk of humanism, it started during the Renaissance, which is based on the belief that society develops by human effort and not essentially God's involvement. So you can see it too. Even here nowadays, we hear about humanism, or secular humanism, things like those. They are advancing to say, no, our development is basically on our effort. The effort we put on whatever we do, that one is going to make us develop, and not God's involvement. We are just seated there and we are waiting for God to intervene. That's when we are going to develop. No. So that is humanism. So to a larger extent, you can see to it that even today, it makes sense to say our development relies only on our effort, the effort that we do as a student yourself. Ask yourself, without study, can you pass exam? Just staying at home or just staying like that, then you say, God is going to intervene. So that's what Renaissance did not uh, disapprove that one, to say, no, no, no. We have to put an effort in order for us to develop. So humanists, they favored human literature of the ancient Greek and the Romans. So they favored the writings of the ancient Greeks and the Romans instead of church literature. So they did not like the church literature, the Bible and the stories of the Bible. They did not like that. They were favoring the writings of the Greeks and the Romans. So they believed that education should aim to pass on morals to their students and prepare them for public functions of the state. For this, therefore, they placed emphasis on subjects such as history, literature, and language. So during that time, then they started advancing much to say, no, we need to put much. We have to study more of history. What have in order to get the experience from there, the literature. What were the people writing, and what sense were they trying to derive? And the language itself, to say language flow, or maybe the language. What does it mean, or how best can we express our feelings or in the language, in the non-language? So the Renaissance ideas spread to other European countries. That is, from Europe, they spread to other European countries. So by 15th century, by that 15th century, it had reached Germany, France, England, Spain, where the ideas of Italian humanists were adopted. So when it started in Italy, other European countries, they also adopted to say, yes, this humanist philosophy is good. Let us put much emphasis on the study of the things in order to develop our society. So we are saying that other European countries, Germany, France, England, Spain, they also adopted those ideas that started in Italy. So this was established, this was enabled by wealth, which led to the founding of schools, colleges, and universities, where sons of the nobles and the merchants were sent to learn Greek and humanist ideas. So the spread of the Renaissance was further speeded by the invention of the printing press. So we are saying that after those ideas to say, no, we need not just to center on the biblical literature. Let us study of other things that have been written so that we develop our societies. So different European countries, they adopted those humanist ideas, and schools now were born. So schools were born whereby they were open where the sons of the rich people were sent. They were sent there. So the colleges, universities were also opened. They were flourishing. So what we mean here, they started in Europe, in those countries in Europe. We talk of France, Spain, Italy, England. Now they started to open those universities where the sons of rich people were sent there to study Greek, to study the humanist ideas. So also the other thing, we're saying that the other thing that also enhanced or that uplifted or that speeded that renaissance was the invention of the printing machine. People were able to reproduce those ideas, the Greek ideas. They were able to be reprinted, and many books were uh, produced. As a result, many students were able to read for themselves those things. So let us look at the contributions of outstanding personalities. Those outstanding personalities, what did they contribute or during the Renaissance? So we are going to look at people here, the people who did something on the Renaissance. So we are going to start with the scientist, the Renaissance scientist. So the first one is Nicholas Copernicus. Nicholas Copernicus. So he himself was there between 1473 to 1543. So he was a Polish monk. He was from Poland. He was a priest from Poland. So he attended a university at Krakow. And his achievements included that he used mathematics to disapprove the general belief that the sun goes round the earth. So he disapproved to say, no, the sun does not move. It is the earth that goes round the sun. So he was a scientist. He studied that one to say, no. It is the earth that go round the sun. So he argued that the earth and other planets, they went around the sun, contrary to the popular belief that the earth was the center of the universe. So you see to it that Copernicus, he said, no. Uh, Here we have to understand these things differently. The sun doesn't go around the earth, but it is the earth and other planets that go around the sun. So he disapproved these things just as people believed as they were. Another scientist was Galileo Galilei. So he was there between 1564 and 1642. So himself, Galileo, he invented the telescope using the optical lenses. So he developed the telescope so that he should be studying the heavenly bodies. So he came up with the idea of the pendulum. He came up with the idea of the pendulum. That is, in physics, you also learn about these things. And he also found that gravity pulls all bodies to the earth at the same speed, irrespective of their weight. So he found it out, he worked out the force of gravity to say, no, gravity, it pulls all bodies to the earth, disregarding of their their weight. That is to say, anything that is in the air, if you just leave it, it is going to fall down at the same speed, without regarding to say this one is more heavier than the other, but they are going to fall down at the same speed. So to prove this, he climbed to the top of the Tower of Pisa and dropped 10 pounds weight and a 1 pound weight to show that they both hit the ground at the same time. So he climbed at the top level and he dropped the two things that were different in weight, but they went at the same time, they went down and touched the ground at the same time. So therefore he said no. Here what it means that gravity pulls everything, disregarding it is heavier or the other one is not heavier, but they are all pulled down at the same speed. So with the telescope, he proved that the Earth and other planets went round the sun. So he proved the Copernican theory. So he developed what was called the Copernican theory. So the Catholic Church, which did not accept the new ideas, condemned Galileo's claims. So a group of church leaders called the Inquisition put on him a trial for the heresy. When you say a heresy, they are false teaching. So what happened was that the church invited him to say, no, you are invited here. We want you to tell the world that these things are not true. What you have proven here, they are not true. You are going to mislead people to say that the earth goes round the sun. So to save himself from death, because a hearsay, a false teaching, it was a serious offense by then. It was punishable by death to say someone has brought in a false teaching. Therefore, that one was supposed to be killed because he was confusing people. So to save himself from death, Galileo then he declared that he had been wrong and the earth stood still at the center of the universe. So he said, all right, you church leaders, yes, you are right, I am wrong. The earth is just stand still and it is the center of the universe. That's what so he retracted his comments. He said, no, I am wrong. But the reality was that he was afraid to be killed because his teachings were taken as the hearsay. And the other one is Johannes Gutenberg. 1398, 1468. So Gutenberg, he invented the printing press in 1455. Remember, we said the invention of the printing press, it advanced much the rebirth of learning. And again, the importance of this printing press was that many books were made within a short period of time. And it also facilitated the spread of the Renaissance ideas, and books became cheaper and portable. And many people owned the Bible. And there was demand for education because everyone wanted to read for themselves. So most of the famous book that Gutenberg printed was the Bible. So he reprinted the Bible in so many copies. As a result, people were able to read for themselves the truth about the Bible itself. So on the part of Renaissance, it facilitated the spread of ideas simply because now they had the printer now that could print those books as quickly as possible, hence many people were able to have the information which they needed. Another physicist or scientist was this one, Paracelsus. So Paracelsus, he was there between 1493 and 1541. So he was a physician from Germany as well as Switzerland. So he was a Swiss-German physician, a doctor from Germany. So he invented the idea of diagnostic medicine, the medicine that could be used to diagnose a certain disease. So previously, diseases were associated with certain beliefs. So beliefs usually were associated with together with the diseases about the human body. So, for example, a person with a lot of blood was said to be confident and hopeful. And a person who got angry quickly, that one was taken to say he had too much bile. He had too much bile. And in some cases, bloodletting or sweating was used as the treatment for the diseases. Bloodletting to say sometimes they were draining out the blood, to say cutting out the body, drain out the blood of a sizable amount like that. Then they could say now someone is going to get better, or just having sweating someone, conducting activities that could produce sweat, then they would say, yeah, you are going to be healed. So despite being dangerous, these methods, they were taught with a religious backing in the medical schools in Europe. So those methods, they were done previously with a religious backing. But Paracelsus, the physician or the doctor, his treatments, however, they relied on chemicals. He believed that no, chemicals are supposed to be used in order to treat the diseases. So that's why we have said that he came up with the diagnostic medicine, the medicine that can be used to cure a particular disease. Another scientist was Andreas Vesalius. Andreas Vesalius was another scientist of the Renaissance. So he was there between 1514 and 1564. So he was a Flemish physician. So he was also a physician, a physicist there, who was the first person to work on the science of anatomy, that is the human body, how it works, the human body. So he argued for observation and anatomical dissection. He also felt that surgery should be done by physician only, not barbers, as has been the practice. So he argued that only physicians, the people who are able to understand physics or medicine, are the people who are supposed to do the surgery, who are supposed to treat the people. And also there was the other one, who was William Harvey, 1578 and 1657. So he was an English physician. He was also a doctor from England, who also worked on anatomy on the human body. So he traced the system of blood circulation in the body. So himself, he traced how the blood circulates in our body. And he was the first person to recognize that the heart acted as the pump by comparing the function of the heart to that of the mechanical pump. So he was the first one to say, oh, the heart itself, it is acting like a pump which pumps blood now and again. So he was the first physician or doctor to do the same, or to find out that the heart acts like the pump. Another one was Robert Boyle. Robert Boyle, 1627 to 1691. So he is the father of the modern chemistry. When we talk of chemistry, it is about Boyle. That's why we have Boyle's law and whatever in chemistry there. So he claimed that matter is made up of small and hard particles which explain changes in liquid, solid, and gas. So he talked about that to say matter is made up of small and hard particles that explain the changes in liquid, solid, and gas. And the other one was Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton was from England. He was an English lecturer of mathematics. So he was teaching mathematics. So he proved that the movement of the planets around the sun is caused by the gravitational force of the Earth. So he said that the movement of the planets is about the gravitational force. So he disapproved the Aristotelian theory that proved that the bodies fall at different speed according to their weight. So he was also together with Copernicus to say, no, things, when they fall disregarding of their weight, they just fall at the same speed, just as it was with Copernicus.
Simutaya nthawi yanu kufunafuna maphunziro muzakhala wotumidwa moyo wanu wonse. Ngati simuphunzira anthu azingokutumani ajala kalime ajala kuchwe manyazi ajala katende yanti ndipo anthu ophunzira wandi wotumanso kwambiri. Ndiye ngati simuphunzira skulu akuyikirani apa mukhala otumidwa.